let's talk about the escape from London. I didn't mean for this to just be me talking the entire time, but there's been so much here that's been going on that it's like...
Well, I'll say something about this then, because the YouGov poll we just looked at in the previous segment, the fact that, 75% of the British public are completely supportive of this. Well, okay, that's a stated preference. They state, maybe. Let's just assume that it's a representative poll and not some Stalinist-esque nonsense. Then we have the revealed preference, which is what people do when this actually happens. And overwhelmingly, it's people leaving London because they don't want to live under this.
Yes.
They're not interested.
Although they could be argued that this is the sort of 25% of people who disagreed with the lockdown, and maybe 75% of London is just sat there before a shrine of Matt Hancock burning incense and thanking him for saving their lives and making sure their grandmother lives in solitude for an extra year or two. Who knows? But anyway, as you can see, can we play this video just in the background, just so people can see?
This is the Eurostar in Euston Station.
Yep, this is the Eurostar. Can we mute the sound because it's just people walking by? But as you can see, massive queues for people in the international parts to go on the Eurotunnel, the Channel, and get to France and escape from London now. Which, I mean, I can't see Kurt Russell, but I'm sure he's in there somewhere. This is also replicated in Heathrow, if we can go to the next one, where you can see people desperately trying to leave the United Kingdom by any means necessary. It's just packed out in Heathrow, not very socially distanced. I imagine that Lord Inquisitor Hancock is very unhappy about this. In fact, I don't have to imagine. He actually came out on Sophie Ridge's Sunday show and, as it says, blasts irresponsible people who are trying to flee from his tyranny. He says...
I'm pretty sure that image there at the top in this footage is also from St. Pancras.
Yep.
So it's not just one train station on one airport.
It's all of London.
All of them.
Yeah, it's all of them. And I'm not surprised. I'd be getting the hell out as well. These people have gone mad with power.
But this is part of the stupidity, as we mentioned. Okay, if we just take the argument that it's more infectious, therefore this is all justified and blah, 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 blah. Well, in which case, why on earth did you do it with time for, I'm guessing, at least hundreds of thousands of people to leave? Why?
That's a good question.
If you sincerely believe this is as bad as you're saying it is, why would you not wait till 8 p.m., 9 p.m. to do this on TV as you did last time? To then show that, no, we need to make sure you don't leave.
Why would you make a big announcement about it that would spook people as well? Because if you're like, oh God, there's a growing number of cases of this new virus in London, it's spreading slowly, we better do something. And effectively, some sort of spider nest or something, you smack it, and then everyone splits and runs off in different directions. And now you've got it spreading everywhere. You are causing the spread of this by saying, we're going to have draconian lockdowns because people are fleeing. And doubtless loads of these people are infected with this new strain of coronavirus, and you're going to send this all across the country and across other places around the world by just fear-mongering about it. This wouldn't have happened if you weren't fear-mongering.
But even with that as a consequence of being so strict, let's just say the strictness is justified, as I said. But, they were able to shut down, I think it was ferries and planes after such a time. Then why didn't you just wait until you could do that for the trains? Because if you seriously believe this is as bad as you're saying, well, all you've just done, as you pointed out, is you've hit the spider's web and now people have gone all over the country with it.
Yeah.
Great job.
So you are directly responsible for encouraging and facilitating the spread of this now by putting the fear of God into them that they're going to be trapped in their homes alone over Christmas. What a bloody mistake that was.
Even if I believe you've done this terribly. This is the worst possible way to manage it.
So, and what's worse is now you validated Keir Starmer's criticism of you.
Yeah. Keir Starmer's getting a golden boy opportunity out of this, even for all the nonsense and the obvious...
It's literally no lose situation for Keir. I can demand the most draconian lockdowns, and when you fuck those up, I can blame you for doing what I wanted. It's amazing.
They're going up in the polls, every single poll I see.
Yeah, it's mad. But Matt Hancock, Imam Hancock, said this was clearly totally irresponsible behaviour. The chief medical officer was absolutely clear that people should unpack their bags. I think that it's relatively small numbers and the vast majority of people throughout the whole pandemic followed the rules, have been responsible and played their part. Hancock added that the new strain was out of control, which necessitated new tighter restrictions. I just want to say, I'm saying this in a more engaging way than Matt Hancock would ever talk, and I don't know why. I'm making what he says sound at least interesting and exciting. I'll try and make it more bureaucratic and dull, which is how he speaks about everything.
Oh, please don't.
everyone, especially in tier 4 areas, quote, needs to behave as if they might well have the virus, and this is the way we can get it under control and keep people safe. So Matt Hancock has actually taken the most extreme position on this, right? We're not going to test people for the virus. We're not going to make population extrapolations from that. No, we're just going to assume that everyone has it. So every single person is now essentially a potential, or will treat them as a carrier of COVID for his rationale and his analysis of the situation. It's ridiculous. It's just extreme.
It's a really weird way to look at it.
It's like they've been in a bunker for the last year or something, and now you get the end of this bunker mentality where it's like it's boiling in their head. They're looking at these numbers. Oh God, the R number, the R number, and everyone's just going about their day, Matt. I mean, look how everyone's just getting on with their lives, man. And you're like, God, the R number. It's just like this very abstract, in your own head obsession. And now London is essentially going into like a police lockdown where the police are they have powers to stop you leaving London, which is something I've been lobbying for years. We should make sure no one's allowed to leave London.
In fact, give it independence. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe build a wall. I don't know. But this was actually the police the police chiefs from London had to come out and actually correct Matt Hancock on this, because he appeared to suggest on Sophie Ridge's show that the police would be asked to stop families attempting to leave tier 4 areas. So literally escape from New York style lockdown, right? Like with I don't know what the extent that he was thinking, but police chiefs later had to come out and say, no, this isn't actually going to happen.
Your Holiness, we can't do it.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly it, right? On stopping cars, National Police Chiefs Council's chair, Martin Hewitt, said, "We will step up visibility to encourage the public to follow the rules, but there is no intention to establish roadblocks or routinely stop vehicles." As in, we're not going to set up checkpoints yet. And that's the important thing. Yet. These things will come, I'm sure of it, right? On travelling in and out of Tier 4, Hewitt said that police would continue to engage with the public and encourage them to follow the rules, and added, where necessary, will enforce through the use of the fixed penalty notices. The idea that we're discussing now, whether we're going to have roadblocks for leaving London, with the police fining you and giving you fixed penalty notices of up to £6,400 for trying to leave the capital city of the United Kingdom. I mean, if we went back a year and I told you that in a year's time that's what the public discussion will be, and the health secretary will be in favour of these roadblocks and will suggest that this will be happening, and the police will have to come out and say, actually, we're not going to do that, you'd think I was mad. This is insane. This has all gone way too far, right? This is just bonkers. And I do think that it's part of a kind of there's a group of people who are very much in the same sort of culture around Westminster, but not just Westminster, and political establishments in other countries, who are reacting in this way that I feel is deeply disproportionate. We can see an example of this of British and other travellers in Germany who have been held against their will. We can get to the next one. We were at Hanover Airport and being held against our will. We were tested and prohibited from leaving the premises while we await the results. As Patrick Kinsley, a New York Times correspondent, says, foreign residents on the last flight into Berlin from London have been separated from the German citizens and will be spend the night in the airport until the test centre opens at 6 a.m. The Germans were allowed through without a test, though. So German citizens coming from London, no test for you, but the Brits, you get tested. Why?
That is weird.
Why? Why would you think the Germans don't deserve a test? Are they not at risk of carrying this disease? Is there something special and unique about the mighty Aryan German man? What is it? What has the German got about himself, imbued intrinsically about the German, that's superior to the Brits? Führer Merkel, I want to know. Why are they not a risk if they're coming from London?
This doesn't make sense, because we went to Germany to give a speech in the Bundestag, and one of the things you have to do was fill in the form, and the rules were that they banned sections of the country. So at the time we went, the south was still allowed, but the north was banned.
Yeah.
So, but it was everyone from the north was banned. If a German tried to fly back from Liverpool, they would also be not allowed.
Yeah.
So why the discrimination? I am confused.
It makes no sense. It should be. You would. If
lungs.
This was again, yeah, exactly. It's just the German blood, you see, right? It's just more pure or something. I don't know what the German government's excuse for it is, obviously, but it's weird that it just falls into It falls into a pattern of thought and ideology that the Germans have had for it's to go for back of a century now.
2,000 years, maybe.
Wait. But
what I'm saying is the Germans are always the problem.
But the point is, it's irrational to say, well, the Germans travelling from London don't need a test, but everyone else travelling from London does need a test. It's like, well, what's so special about the Germans? Surely the problem is that they're travelling from London, where this new strain is. But anyway, this is all fine with London's Caliph, Sadiq Khan. He totally supports these inhuman measures. He's been lobbying this for ages, actually, but I mean, he went on LBC yesterday and just said, well, I'm fine with this. And he says, stay in London, follow the rules, or you might kill Granny. Not quite those words, but almost those words. As in, if you don't do what he says, your grandmother is going to die, which is starting to sound...
And that's a promise.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's like, Sadiq, buddy, like... calm down. But he's been clamouring for these lockdowns for ages. I mean, even the first one he was arguing for, and since October he was arguing for the November lockdown. And so this is, completely within his normal pattern of behaviour. This is what Sadiq Khan wants. He wants you trapped in London, locked at home, and unable to leave, or else the old people get it. Just want to say,
Sadiq's death squads.
Sadiq's coronavirus Stasi.
He's up for re-election, isn't he? Is that a campaign promise then?
No, he postponed the election because of coronavirus. Which,
wonderful.
It's amazing, isn't it? Can't we have mail-in voting, Sadiq? You can still win.